you would have to cycle through 7 or 8 different scrolls and then select it and then use the spell. But you guys have played it. The enemies will get in your face and you're dead by then.
Of course, they swarm you. Yeah.
You could not use the spells. And so my main thing was that I recommended a real-time spell system. And so we took several of those scrolls and made them dedicated character abilities that you find throughout the game. And that's what those little chargeable circles are on the side of the screen. Those are now real-time magic abilities that recharge through combat. So we've taken away from the load of the consumables so much that you still have them, but you still have these instant one button, boom, use this ability in the moment of combat. And it helps you stay alive, and it makes you use them more. Magic becomes more used in the loop, which is what we want. We want more magic happening. And just a lot of that sort of... Primoz has made an old school style game that has faster gameplay than those old games. These enemies just get right on you and you're dead. And it had mechanics that were too old school to make that work. All the spells were on the consumables. They took too long to select. The grenade button used to be, you had to pull out the grenade and then throw it. And just that pause in the animation meant that you were dead. And so when I came in, one of the first things that we did was change several of these systems to be instant. An instant melee button instead of having to pull out the melee. An instant grenade button. Moving the spells to a real-time spell system. And that just broke the game wide open. And now the player is able to dance with all these abilities instead of feeling encumbered by them or burdened by them, which means that we can also ramp up the action to suit the player's abilities. And that's when Wizordum really started taking off.
Exactly.
That's been the most fun thing to do, helping with this game. I'm not, me and Primos don't talk all the time about this, but I come in here and there and I do a pass and I'm like, hey, here's what's feeling good and here's what's not, and then we go from there. And that was the input stuff was one of the first things we did.
My turn to talk.
Take it.
No, I just want to say that the reason Mayo is here and part of Wizordum is that was it 2 years ago that I first started talking to you, Mayo?
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
So he'd released a video on YouTube that we saw that was talking about one of the early episodes of Turbo Overkill, and he was pointing out some areas of gameplay design and so off that needed work. And his analytical view on it was so, in my opinion, spot on. It was like, we need a guy like this to help us out with a lot of our projects, who can get under the hood of the gameplay of a certain game and really dig into it and find out that, the nooks and crannies where to adjust the knobs and stuff and make things shine even more. So, thankfully, he's able to work with us, and he's actually helping out with several of our important projects. And he does this kind of amazing knob twisting on all of these projects. So he's, in some ways, he's one of our secret weapons here at AppCheat to make sure that our games are just really, in terms of gameplay, finely tuned. And I can see working with Mayo for years to come. He's pretty awesome.
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Primoz can probably testify to this. It's got to be a weird feeling for a director of a game to be working with Apogee, and then out of nowhere, suddenly Under the Mayo shows up. He's like, "Hi, I'm Under the Mayo. I'm that YouTube guy. Apogee wants me to do a sweep of your game and see what's up." And they're like, "What the fuck?" Okay.
Jar Mayo just walks through the door, and there he is.
I just show up. Hey, what's up? I'm gonna play your game and give you a report. But by the time I give you the first report, you're like, "Oh, okay, all right, we can have a relationship." Because we work well together.
I bet you didn't think it all.
Thank you, Scott. That was very nice.
I feel like your critical, your kind of critical skills come from all those years of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that's where it comes from.
And Rob, you mentioned the video. You saw that. I don't just write a report. I do a full YouTube style video breakdown for the publisher to be like, hey, this is what I'm talking about. And I find that's just so much more helpful.
I love that it's so unedited as well. You can see you're reading from a script, and you're like, "Yeah." So next point,
like coughing. There's a cat in the background.
All of the imperfections that we edit out of our YouTube video, just raw there. I'm like, oh, I bet you didn't think all of this would happen when you sat down one day to make a video about Doom Eternal's Marauder.
No, God, no. I had no idea that I'd be here helping out.
Come along with me.
Cool as Wizardum.
Yeah. Scott, got a question that one of our previous guests, a friend of the channel, Ruby Ranger, so he mentioned something, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it to you. It's the shareware model. Ruby Ranger mentioned that, in his opinion, early access nowadays is like shareware but paid. Would you agree with that? Because you're literally the guy that came up with the business model.
I actually didn't come up with shareware, but my sort of what Apogee did was we were the first to really figure out the episodic model.
Yeah,
we released one episode, and then you can buy the other 2 episodes. So that was kind of our breakthrough, and that was the first model that really made it possible for companies like us and Epic and other ones back then to make money in the game market. Because before I came up with that model, people would just release the entire game. The way shareware was meant to work was you release the entire code, program, app into shareware, and then it would say, if you like this, send me $15.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I knew that if people already got the whole thing, what's their incentive for sending you more money? And there were people who were putting games into shareware back then, but they weren't making money. Like there was this game it was a fantastic game called Captain Comic. I can't remember who made it, but he released the whole thing, and I'm like, dude, you messed up. So it was basically the idea of breaking games into a trilogy and releasing the first episode. That's kind of like, nowadays, obviously that's not around. But early access is kind of similar in some ways. There's parallels there. But nowadays, what we do is we just always release a demo of our game, early on, and just to get player reaction, see if players think we're also on the right track, like we might think we are. So there's really no exact parallel to what we were doing, but between demos and early access, you can kind of get close with both of those. That was the question. I get it.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I'm actually
because
glad
early
that
access
demos have come back. Like demos, just they were there and they were such a great thing, a tool to help developers know, like, if things need to be worked on, whatever. And then all of a sudden they were just gone. Nobody was doing demos anymore. But we're slowly getting them back, and I feel like they're so important. Much like an early access.
I think the demos are extremely.
The old demo discs, You used to buy the magazine half the time just to get the demo disc. There's so much on there. Yeah, it's cool.
But for developers like us or publishers like us, it's so valuable because you get feedback and you avoid getting the reviews, because demos can be problematic, and you don't want to get a bunch of bad reviews. But you release a demo, you're not getting any reviews, but you're getting good feedback, and then by the time you do come out with early access, you've had time to fine tune it and get it into a much better state.
Yeah, there's several games that I don't think I ever would have played if it wasn't for demos. Like Prey 2006 was one of those games, actually. I never would have played that if it wasn't for a demo. I just happened to see it one time on the Xbox 360 store, grabbed it, boom, and then I ended up playing Prey. So,
Yeah. Well, the good thing about a demo is it's literally a vertical slice of the game, and that you can sit down, you can play it, and you can make it, you can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it, and you can make a decision about whether this is something you want to spend your money on.
Alrighty, for those of you unfamiliar that are watching this for the first time, this is just 5 questions. Since we've got so many guests, we'll break them up a little bit. We used to have a time limit, but that always constrained the good answers, and so we'll see what happens. We'll fire 5 volleys and see what comes back. All right, Scott, I got you as the first question, and that question is: if each person had a warning label, what would yours say?
Gosh, sometimes stubborn. God, a warning label. Beware, drinks too much coffee. I don't know. Gosh. I can be a little stubborn with my ideas sometimes, trying to get them across to developers I work with.